Positioned at the front of one of the biggest challenges to the idea of progress and happiness, after strongly arguing that life is pain and proposing an unusual way out, Arthur Schopenhauer is a major and important thinker in modern times. The specific challenge Schopenhauer faced was when people started trusting only logic and optimism, which left behind a powerful, blind, and never satisfied energy at the end of every human effort. This seemed to offer only one path: endless pain and struggle. Schopenhauer's life work was to tackle this issue and try to create a new, third way. This path moved away from both non-stop striving and feeling meaningless, and instead moved toward finding peace in not wanting anything. Schopenhauer was born in 1788 in Danzig into a wealthy, comfortable family. This meant young Schopenhauer was immediately surrounded by culture and smart conversation. However, this comfort was soon questioned as his life went on, showing him the deep, fundamental dissatisfaction and hunger that all people feel. This mix of his rich start and his early awareness of a fundamental, blind force, the will, hiding beneath everything, eventually led to his philosophical ideas. After a brilliant but often lonely early life, Schopenhauer studied Kant's ideas and found a big problem in them. Despite showing great potential in his studies and teaching, especially in criticizing established ideas, he scheduled his lectures opposite the famous philosopher Hegel, and nobody came. Schopenhauer chose to leave mainstream academic life, rejecting the popular ideas of his time. From then on, he lived mostly alone, developing his philosophy, feeling that he had discovered a truth that the rest of the world ignored. After many years of being a lonely lecturer, Schopenhauer finally became famous in his 60s with his later writings, Parerga and Paralipomena. He lived mainly alone with his poodles, supported by a small inheritance. During this time, despite his bitterness and anger at being ignored, Schopenhauer spent most of his time thinking and writing. He found purpose and reason to continue through his dedication to philosophy. During this time, he wrote his most important book, The World as Will and Representation. In it, he presented the core of his new philosophy, an idea that shook up all modern beliefs about progress and reason. Life itself is suffering. This is one of Schopenhauer's strongest statements. He didn't say this to celebrate sadness. He said it to give a stark warning about what existence truly meant. He argued that the breakdown of true freedom showed that everything is controlled by a blind, pushing, never satisfied force he called the will. This will is what makes a heart beat or a tree grow. He worried that without a clear system to follow, humanity would be stuck in endless craving. Schopenhauer's key idea to solve this was to realize that all of life is this endless, cosmic striving. That's the will. That's existence, he wrote. He rejected the idea of a rational world and suggested that trying to find an objective truth was wrong. This search distracts us from the one subjective experience we have, a constant cycle of wanting, getting, and wanting again. Because of this, Schopenhauer thought art, especially music, and compassion, were the most important things. He believed these activities let us escape the will's endless drama for a short time, giving us temporary peace. However, he also saw that art and feelings could easily fade. So, he turned his focus to a philosophy that helped the individual escape relying on culture or others, instead focusing on denying the will. This meant finding peace entirely within oneself. This philosophy is found in what Schopenhauer called asceticism, or renunciation, giving things up. This ideal person is quiet, confident, and independent. They pursue not wanting things strongly and unapologetically. They step away from the world's constant drama and value solitude. Schopenhauer believed this new approach was necessary because the common way of living, always striving and competing, didn't fit the human condition, which is characterized by unceasing desire. This view has its critics, but Schopenhauer's concept of the ascetic mainly serves as an idealized version of oneself. It is an image of a free and peaceful person who has overcome all their neediness. We should set goals to strive toward this ideal. Schopenhauer said that the world runs on a will to power, but the wise person runs on a will to quiet, realizing that freedom comes from stopping that power. He observes that a person can only truly be themselves when alone, he wrote. This search for self-possession fuels a cycle of wanting less, denying the will, and watching the world from a distance. For Schopenhauer, this process of denying the will is the way to solve the problem of meaning in life. When someone sets goals to live a quiet, solitary life, they turn the pain of existence into something worthwhile and personally freeing. Unlike Nietzsche, who said we should embrace and affirm suffering, Schopenhauer argued that suffering is something to be minimized and quieted through detachment. While he continued to write and live alone, Schopenhauer remained a difficult and bitter person. His writings about women were cruel and hateful, and he was prejudiced against others, showing the worst ideas of his time. He was also a misogynist. His writings contain passages about women that are, there's no other word, vile. This behavior seemed to contradict his own philosophy of compassion. Schopenhauer eventually died in 1860 at age 72, without ever changing his lonely routine. During his life, Schopenhauer was largely a failure until he gained fame late in his life. His first major book didn't sell, and he was ignored. However, after his death, his work became extremely famous, respected, and influential worldwide, though some of his ideas were misused. Today, Schopenhauer's work remains strong and important in modern thought. His insights are echoed everywhere. In a fitting way, just as Schopenhauer suggested, we must symbolically deny our desires throughout life to find our true self. His own life and death might have been just that, a process of self-sacrifice toward a greater stillness. Of course, Schopenhauer's ideas are not perfect. His idea of renunciation and solitude is criticized. Even if his description of modern problems is accurate, his solutions aren't helpful for everyone. Is a life of quiet retreat really better than engaging with the chaos? And can we accept the philosophy while ignoring the personal cruelty, the ugliness of the philosopher? If someone sees life as only negative, trying to create goals based on retreat might just lead them back to needing a meaning outside themselves. If you don't agree with his main starting point, that the goal is to escape suffering, then the rest of his ideas may not apply. Since his philosophy can be interpreted in many ways, Schopenhauer leaves us the room to disagree with him and instead choose our own way forward.